Happy Thursday and welcome to the Ringer Gambling Show sponsored by FanDuel. I'm the prop queen, Ariel Epstein, still in Aruba. I think it's day 14 at this point. But I'm still here, so that's great.
Did
Raheem
you
Palmer,
move to Aruba?
I think she wants to,
kind
Raheem.
of. If I
And
had
knowing
my
what the weather
dog-
is in New York, by the way, Ariel, enjoy and cherish every bit of sun that you see, okay?
So for like the longest, like there was a running joke that I was doing a Vegas residency because I would come out to Vegas and just end up staying for like 6-7 months. I even lived in a hotel for 8 months. So I'm wondering if you're doing the same thing in Aruba.
I would love to do the same thing in Aruba as long as you could send me my dog here, then I
Oh,
could leave
Marley.
everybody else behind. I miss my dog so much. That's the reason I'm going home. Also, we've had a little bit of fun at the casino, but the fun ran out. So now
Well,
it's
you're
time
there
to
for
go home.
14 days, Ariel. I got news for you. The house, as they say in Ocean's 11, always wins.
7 days is enough time to beat them, but then you give yourself double that time, they will kick you in the ass. And that is exactly what happened to me at the blackjack table the other night. I have not hit one split double at all in 2 weeks. Split, double, nothing. $0. So we got to make money on sports betting, and that's clearly the only
You don't
way.
play poker?
No. And they don't
You're not
really have a
wasting
lot
time
of poker
playing
here.
poker all that time, Raheem. She can't be doing that. Come on now.
I mean, honestly, if I'm in a casino, I'm
I
playing
know,
two
but
things.
you're going on vacation. You don't want to grind. You want to hoot and holler at the craps table like me. Come on.
Oh man, I can't do I only play craps with y'all because it was y'all, but
That's
I
it.
would never touch a crap table again in
That's
my
it.
life.
You'll be when I'm back in Vegas. You'll come
JJ
back.
definitely
That's
is the craps guy because he has to mingle and talk to everybody. It makes sense.
This is the Ringer Gambling Show presented by FanDuel, the best place to bet the NFL all season long. FanDuel's got it all. Same game parlays, quick bets for jumping in live, and your way so you can build the bet that fits your play. In Missouri, get excited because FanDuel's coming your way December the 1st. Download FanDuel.com/gamblers to get started. Must be 21 plus in present select states and 18 plus in D.C., Kentucky, and Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut.
I'm very ready though. Thursday Night Football I'm not ready for, but I want to get to the NBA first. I know that JJ was at the Knicks game, so shout out to the Knicks. But OKC, 12-1 to start the season, Raheem. Can this team actually win 70 games?
So right now it's so funny. You look at FanDuel Sportsbook, they have the Oklahoma City plus 350 to win 70 games. Now that is an outlandish price. I would not recommend betting that. It's basically saying that 22% of the time this team is going to win 70 games. Now you look at their adjusted win total, it's at 64.5. I gotta say that's short. Like it's beyond short. You're talking about a team right now in Oklahoma City Thunder. They are first in defensive rating. They're allowing 103 points per 100 possessions in their non-garbage time minutes. They're fifth in offensive rating in their non-garbage time minutes. 121 points per 100 possessions. And they're missing their second best ball handler and second best player in Jalen Williams. It took an act of God for them to lose that one game against the Portland Trailblazers. You had like five guys out. You had Caruso, you had Chet, you had J-Dub. And Isaiah Joe had his foot on the three-point line for the game-tying three at the end of the game. That's what it took for them to lose that game. And they were on a back-to-back. So this team could absolutely win 70 games. I said it on Instagram or Twitter about a week and a half ago. If this team wants to challenge for 73-9, they could absolutely do so. But it's a matter if they want to do so, because you look at the Golden State Warriors, they went for 73-9, and you could tell that they were a little bit burnt out by the NBA Finals. Obviously, Steph Curry had the MCL injury, which changed things, but a lot of teams don't want to push it. But this team could absolutely
I guess when you
do it.
won it all last year, you do want to set a higher bar for the next season. Maybe that's the higher bar.
I mean, it is the higher bar, but I mean, everybody knows it doesn't mean a thing without the ring. So it's just a matter of they're not going to, if they don't shut it down, this is a 70-win team because they have not been healthy. Like, I mean, they took the Lakers into the deep waters and drowned them. the night after they stomped on the Golden State Warriors. And then they were missing so many guys, missing Lou Dort, missing Andrew Wiggins, obviously still missing Jalen Williams. And they're still worlds above anybody else. So the only other team I think can compare is the Denver Nuggets. And you see what Jokic is doing right now. I mean, it's pretty much Jokic and SGA competing for MVP because nobody else has a shot.
Well, you bring up injuries, and the injury bug has definitely hit the New York Giants. Switching over to football, the Giants, so many things going on. They had fired their head coach, Brian Daboll, finally. Kind of heard rumblings of that last week, and it turns out it happened this week. Now there's a new quarterback under center. Jameis Winston announced the starter for the Giants. JJ, how do we even look at Big Blue this week with all these changes?
You know, normally this is exactly the sort of spot I want to go and take a team, Ariel. And a couple of thoughts before we get to Big Blue and Mr. Winston and Mr. Kafka and the new vibe they have with all the changes this week. Raheem onto something with Oklahoma City, by far and away the best team in the league. The question is motivation as far as 70 wins is concerned. If they want it, they'll get it. That's, to me, what it boils down to at Oklahoma City. How big of a priority is it going balls to the wall in the regular season? 2, was it the Knick game, as you alluded to? I was impressed by that physicality of the Orlando Magic. I know a lot of people talked them up, including Raheem, throughout the summertime in the preseason, and they laid a whooping on my Knicks because it was rock'em sock'em, and the Knicks were not ready for rock'em sock'em. Now, as far as the Giants, I think I like them this week. I know it sounds crazy. I know it makes no sense.
Whew.
Fired the coach. That, to me, is always a spot I circle and say, wow, coach fired. Different vibe, different buzz. When you talk about energy, you could not be more dead with Russell Wilson. If Russell Wilson was playing quarterback this week, there is not a chance in hell I'm going anywhere near the New York Giants. Jameis Winston is starting. We all know what the Jameis Winston experience is going to bring. He's going to try to throw 50-50 balls. He is going to give 0 Fs. He's going to chuck it. He might throw a couple of picks. He also might throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Packers, to me, have problems. We saw that on Monday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a team that we talked about earlier in the year. Hey, metric-wise, grading out unbelievably well. Eye test, not equating. I have major questions about this quarterback, who to me makes about 4 to 5 asinine plays on a week-in and week-out basis. I understand the talent discrepancy could be problematic. I think that Giant team has a little extra pep in their step this week. I'm not saying they win the game outright. 7 points, no way in the world I'd lay it with Green Bay. That is a Giants or pass spot. Ariel, no Dable, no Russell Wilson. I know Jackson Dart's concussed. He's not going to play in this game. I think you get a spunky Giant effort. I do.
Key number of 7 there, total 42.5. Maybe people are going to put that in teaser spots too. Would you say that the Packers end up winning, just not by 7?
Probably. But to your point, there's usually 1 or 2 of those teaser spots that makes a whole lot of people miserable. And a week ago, you had the Miami Dolphins in a similar position. They didn't fire their head coach, but they were in that like 8.5. Oh, Buffalo just beat the Chiefs. Tease them down. Get them at 2.5. They always beat the Dolphins. Miami won by 17 points. So I know favorites have had their way, and that's been a theme that we've talked about throughout this NFL season. That's not a favorite I'm looking to go and tease and parlay this week. I think the Packers probably win. But as far as the side goes, Raheem, I would take the Giants plus 7. I really would.
So when you look at the Packers, they're obviously overrated by the market because they are 1-6 against the spread. 1-6. You're talking about a team that's 5-3-1. And you guys know on last week's show, what did I tell you guys? I like the Packers. I like betting the Packers to miss the postseason at plus 350. They lose to the Eagles. Now they're at plus 250. And it looks like they're going to have trouble winning this division. They are 1-6 against the spread. You're talking about a team that is 1-6 against the spread. So obviously the market is overvaluing this team. And then when you look at their resume, they lost to Cleveland. They lost to Carolina. They tied against the Dallas Cowboys. They were very fortunate to beat the Arizona Cardinals, and they only scored 7 points against the Philadelphia Eagles. At this point in time, this team could lose to anybody. And you guys know, last week on this very show, I said I want some Packers to miss the postseason at plus 350. Now they lose to the Eagles, and that's down to plus 250. And they are in a position right now where if they lose to the Lions on Thanksgiving, now they're competing for the last wild card position. So they're in a really tough position with this offense because the offense just isn't going. And now Tucker Kraft is out for an extended period of time. And it's just, I don't know what you're getting from these wide receivers. They're dropping passes. The offensive line isn't any good. So I can trust the defense. That is something I know I can trust. They held Philadelphia to 10 points. It's not like Cleveland scored at will. It's not like Carolina scored at will. I can trust that defense, but it's just the offense. It appears to just be doing them, letting them down. And I don't know what Matt LaFleur is doing with some of this play calling. So it just feels like the Packers, they're in a tough position. I don't want to lay margin with this team, but at the same time, it's tough backing Jameis Winston against a defense this good.
Speaking of laying margin, we have a fun one for Thursday Night Football. Oh my goodness, we've got
Fun?
the New England
You sure
Patriots.
about that? You sure about that, prop queen? Fun?
Oh boy, Patriots, the look-ahead was about 10.5, 11. It's now 12.5 at FanDuel. New England's at home against the New York Jets. 44.5 total, dropped to 43.5. Listen, New England's won 8 of the last 10. They've covered 8 of the last 10 in this matchup. JJ, you are Mr. New York, so I'll start with you first with this New York team. 12.5, is it too much?
So I think anybody who has been listening to us throughout the course of this football season knows full well I have been known to take some ugly dogs throughout this campaign. That said, there is absolutely no way in the world I'm getting in front of this ugly dog with the Jets taking on the New England Patriots. Now, some are going to say, hey, JJ, Jets are coming off back-to-back wins. Hey, JJ, Jet defense is starting to figure some things out with Aaron Glenn. They can run the football. Breece Hall has really emerged over the last few weeks. The success of the tackles in Fashanu and Membu. I don't care. Here's the problem with this matchup, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. The way to attack the New England Patriots is by throwing the football. The Jets can't complete the forward pass. They can't do it. They can't do it. They can't do it. Justin Fields couldn't crack 100 passing yards a week ago against the Cleveland Browns. So now you're telling me, okay, Thursday Night Football, on the road, no Garrett Wilson, go attack the New England defense that's been stout and stupendous when it comes to stopping the run. Now, I understand what I'm doing right now. Raheem, you know I hate this. You've known me for 3.5 years. I hate laying double digits in the NFL. It's normally not a wise proposition. I don't care. I'm doing it tonight. I think the Patriots are humming. They're firing on all cylinders. And they have not had a home primetime game like this in a long time. This is a chance for the Foxborough faithful to kind of celebrate the fact that, hey, we are back. It's like old times. We're playing a night game. We're beating the crap out of the Jets. We're going to get liquored up before the start of the game and have ourselves one hell of a Foxborough party. I'm not trying to kiss up the Simmons on this, trust me. I'm so sick of the Patriot hype. It's insufferable. That said, at least it comes at the expense of the Bills.
Schedule is so crappy. Like, I'm waiting for this team to come rolling in hot. Maybe Drake May is so good at his bad schedule that he wins MVP, and then they get their asses handed to them at some point in the playoffs.
Yeah, listen, Ariel, that can happen, and there's a pathway for that, and we'll have chances to fade the Patriots. It's just not in this spot. So you're asking me who I like in the game. I'm laying the lumber. Give me the Patriots, 12.5.
So you look at the Patriots right now, and they've won 7 consecutive games, and they're 6-1 against the spread in those 7 games. And naturally, you look at this line and you say, what, 11.5, and you start to feel like, all right, am I buying the Patriots at the top of their market? But unfortunately, the Jets, they come into this game winning 2 straight. And it's a really bad spot for rookie head coaches. You look at rookie head coaches, first season, new team, 6-35 straight up playing on a Thursday. It's very tough for these rookie head coaches to get prepared. And if you look at them against the spread, they're only covering around 40% of the time. So it's very tough to back a rookie head coach on a Thursday night. So that's something for New England as well. But I think JJ made the best point when it comes to this game. If you look at the New England Patriots, they are fourth in rushing success rate on defense. They're eighth in EPA per play on defense. So they stopped the run. And the Jets, they want to run the ball. And if you look at the Jets and you look at those games in which they've played teams where they face top 10 run defenses, they've had garbage success rates. I mean, they've been absolutely terrible against teams who can stop the run. And like JJ said, they can't complete the forward pass. And they are coming off a game against the Cleveland Browns where, yes, they scored 27 points, but they got 14th off of, they got seven off of a kick return and 7 off of a punt return. So basically they got 14 points on special teams. So that inflates their value here. I like the New England Patriots as well. My model doesn't agree with this. My model thinks this should be 8.5, but ultimately I think the New England Patriots go out there and take this team into the deep waters and absolutely drown them. They step on them, and y'all know how it's going down.
Hey, friends don't let other friends bet the Jets. So good thing we don't have to talk anybody out of backing the Jets this week. I love taking any of these props in these horrible games. 2 stood out to me the most. Drake May over his rushing yards. It already went from 21.5 to 24.5. He ran for 46 last year against the Jets. Drake May is averaging 30 rushing yards a game through his last 10 home games. When he's faced teams that are bottom 10 against the run, when it comes to at least just quarterbacks running the football, he's averaging 31.5 rushing yards per game through the last 2 seasons. And the Jets, 5th most rushing yards per game allowed to quarterbacks at just under 26 rushing yards a game. There has been just one quarterback to go under his rushing yard prop this year against the Jets. And it was Aaron Rodgers. We don't care about that. So Drake May goes over his rushing yards prop tonight. And then for Breece Hall, the Jets running back, his rushing yard prop went from 60.5 to 55.5. Starting to feel a little low now, but I looked at this year, and yes, Breece Hall's done well against good run Ds. Denver, Cleveland, he went over this number. However, both those games were at home. You're on the road in a tough place to play in Gillette, in Foxborough, against your division rival. Last year went under in all 3 games against the top 10 run D. He's gone under in 12 of his last 20 road primetime games and 3 of the last 5. New England, the least rushing yards allowed to running backs this year. So I'll take the under for Breece Hall and his rushing yards prop. Anything else on this game that you guys like?
It's so funny, Ariel. I actually had Drake May over rushing yards as well. Like that's one I had written down, but I also have one that's correlated with that as well. Like,
okay.
I also like Drake May over 5.5 rushing attempts. I was gonna play both of those. And you like Drake May, he's had a league leading 25 scrambles. And we know that the Jets pass rush, they can rush the passer. And so Drake May's going to get out and run. He's cleared this in 7 or 10 games this season. So I love that rushing over prop, but I also want to add the rushing attempts. And then one thing about the rushing attempts is that a kneel down counts as a rushing attempt. And that's very possible in a game where the Patriots are 11.5-point favorites.
Yeah, and you always have to remember that the rushing yards, if, there is a close rushing yard prop and he's teetering on that line, if there are kneel downs, that does count as well. So you just have to hope he really goes over the number and doesn't have a Patrick Mahomes.
But I'm definitely playing both of those. And I'm so glad we're both on the same page with this. We didn't even talk about it. So
no, we never really talk props like that. What we do talk about, though, is anytime touchdown scores because we get to post those every day for every Thursday game on The Ringer. And JJ, I know this has been your bread and butter the last few weeks, not to jinx you. What do you got?
Well, last week we were cold, and maybe
it's okay. It was bound to happen.
You know what? Maybe I could blame the graphics team because I sent my pick in, I did my due diligence, and I get so excited when I see all of our beautiful faces up on the FanDuel graphic. It's easy to retweet. It's amazing to share, and we've been red hot with these. I was excluded. I felt like the kid all left out from getting picked to pick up baseball or whatever. Like they were standing in the corner. That was me. And of course, my anytime touchdowns went right down the tube. So we're going to be in the graphic this week. We're going to bounce back this week. I got 2 for you. Mac Hollins, who had 10 plus targets against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He has become a new favorite toy, and the chemistry's there with Drake May. The Jet secondary has lost Sauce Gardner, as you know. I'm going to take Mac Hollins at a very juicy price at plus 240 to go and score a touchdown. And then the other guy I like, actually, the price on that is a little off. Plus 250. There we go. Plus 250 for Mac Hollins to score a touchdown. So I wasn't off by that much. And I also like Mason Taylor for the Jets because somebody has to go maybe and score a touchdown. And Mason Taylor is going to basically profile as the Jets' #1 receiver. They don't have Garrett Wilson. You look at their wide receivers that they're lining up, you're like, who are these guys? They got Mitchell from the Colts. He barely knows the playbook. Alan Lazard, enough said there. Let's take Mason Taylor and Matt Collins, both in that plus 240, 250 range. I also like Mason Taylor alternate receptions if you want to get involved with this. I'm seeing 5+ receptions for Mason Taylor at plus 104. Let's do that. Mason Taylor, Matt Collins, and then alternate receptions for Mason Taylor, 5 at plus 104.
Raheem?
Yeah, I actually don't have one for this game. I'm not going to try to force one. I'm going to pass on the anytime touchdown.
I'm going to go with our guy, Drake May, since Raheem and I both like him. He has, I think it was plus 175 on FanDuel for anytime touchdown score. The Jets have allowed the 7th or 8th most rushing touchdowns to quarterbacks this year. And then on the other end, I wasn't able to get this one in on time. Someone beat me to it. But Hunter Henry to score tonight just makes sense in prime time. Jets, 3rd most touchdowns allowed to tight ends this year. So Hunter Henry would be one, and Drake May would be the other. Decent payouts. At least you're not laying heavy juice on some kind of running back. We're going to take a break for our podcast audience. We've got 3 games, though, that we feel are a must talk about situation, because 3 games that we could see some value in that are going to be some big games of this week. So for our podcast audience, stay right here. We'll be right back after the break. Our YouTube audience, subscribe, like. We really do appreciate you guys watching. Also very excited to announce that we are going to be live starting next week again, and we'll be live on all the FanDuel streaming platforms. So definitely make sure to check that out there and on all our regional networks. Welcome back to our podcast audience here on the Ringer Gambling Show, sponsored to you by FanDuel. We've got 3 games in the NFL this week that are very big games, especially for certain divisions. Starting with Seattle and LA. They're facing the Rams. I'm really intrigued, and I'm excited to hear what your guys' thoughts are, because the Rams have covered in 8 of the last 9 meetings. Seahawks have won and covered in their last 4 games. The Rams have won and covered their last 4 games. Seattle's won and covered in all 4 of their road games this year. So we're talking about some hot teams right now that are in contention for the division. And I'm looking at just the way that the numbers moved. So Seattle in LA, Rams were minus 2.5. It moved to 3. 48.5 is the total. 4 p.m. Eastern time. Raheem, key number of 3 here. How would you take it?
Okay, so this game is very tough for me because I'm right on market in terms of the number. And look, a lot of people will say that the Rams are probably the better team. I have the Rams slightly power rated ahead of Seattle. I think they're pretty much neck and neck. The thing for me is that I think this Rams defense is a little bit overrated. I think they could be thrown on. And I truly believe that. I'm seeing a team that their secondary isn't as great as the numbers say they are. You look at them on defense, they're 3rd in dropback EPA per play, and they're 13th in dropback success rate. I don't think those numbers are truly indicative of who they are. If you watch the 2 games against the San Francisco 49ers, Mac Jones carved them up. Like, this is Mac Jones. I'm seeing a Rams defense who can be passed on. You look at the second half of that Eagles game, the Eagles and Jalen Hurts probably had their best half of the entire season. So I think there's going to be a lot of explosive plays there for Sam Darnold and Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think the Seattle Seahawks are going to be able to they're going to be able to put up a lot of points. And I think you could say the same for the Rams. So I'm looking at this total, and what are we at? 48.5 now?
I'll get the live look right now at it.
Yeah, I think we're at 49.
48
We're
and a
at
half.
48.5 at FanDuel Sportsbook. I would probably be, I said earlier in the week, I thought this was an under, but I actually think this is an over. I think both of these offenses should be able to get off. As far as the side, I'm truly right on market. My gut feeling is that Seattle is the better team. Simply because they have a better defense. But when it comes to this game, it's Sam Darnold has to erase some of those demons. We saw him in that playoff matchup. We saw him get sacked a million times. So if they can protect him, I do think Sam Darnold can have a big game. So I would lean towards Seattle money line.
I have a very strong take on this game. And I would go the other way here, Raheem. I love the Rams in this spot. And you alluded to what my feeling is on this game. I saw Sam Darnold against this defense absolutely wet the bed in the biggest game he's ever played, Wild Card Weekend in Arizona, when the Vikings were taking on the Los Angeles Rams last year. I know Sam Darnold has been great. I know he's thriving in Clint Kubiak's offense. He has found a new home in Seattle, and he has made Seattle look rather wise for parting ways with Geno Smith. They've won a ton of games this year, and I know I've gotten burned by Seattle in a couple of different of these games here. I had Washington a couple of weeks ago. Shame on me. Terrible, terrible pick. Last week, the Arizona Cardinals were dead on arrival. That game was over in the first quarter. But I'm going to go with the quarterback that I just have a lot more trust in these sort of big games. I have seen Stafford and the Rams do it. I think they are a little bit better than Seattle as far as the overall complete nature of their team. They're close. They're both going to win a ton of games this year. But I trust Stafford more than I trust Sam Darnold. Ariel hit on the fact that the Rams historically have gotten the better of the Seahawks in these matchups. And I'm sure the folks in Seattle are going to love this because I've been picking against you guys a lot the last few weeks and it's not worked out well for me. But I am doing it again, baby. Give me the Rams laying at 3. I love them this week.
The prop that I'll be looking at in this game is the Rams tight end Tyler Higbee to go over his receiving yards prop. Seeing certain spots 22.5. I haven't seen it posted to FanDuel yet. But if you get a 22.5, Tyler Higbee at home in prime time, averaging 37 receiving yards a game through his last 10, 37 through his last 20, going over the number in 6 of the last 9 that he's played at home in prime time. Well, I know it's not really prime time, but it's a big game, and I put these prime times in a prime time spot because you're going for the division. You're at 4 p.m. Eastern time, smaller slate of games, but if you just want to take the home games in general on a Sunday, Tyler Higbee in his last 5 averaging about 24. Divisional home games, I'm just like playing around with like the numbers. I don't know, just at home against a defense like Seattle, who has allowed the second most receiving yards per game to tight ends this year at 73 receiving yards a game in a big spot. You turn to Tyler Higbee. So I'm going to go Tyler Higbee over his receiving yard prop around 22.5.
But before we move on to the next game, I think this is very important. If you like the Rams, Matthew Stafford is plus 300 to win MVP. If you like Seattle, Sam Darnold is plus 900 to win MVP. I think this is one of the most high leverage games as far as determining the MVP winner. I mean, right now, Drake May is plus 300. I don't think his odds are going to change this week based on his performance. Obviously, they're playing the New York Jets. I think you're looking towards games against the Buffalo Bills. What he does in that game is going to determine things. But this is 2 MVP candidates going head to head, and what could determine who has the number 1 or the number 2 seed in the NFC. Now, obviously, the Eagles are in their own class. They're playing the Detroit Lions. That's going to impact things, but this is a very high leverage spot. So if you like the Rams, put something on Matthew Stafford, and if you like the Seattle Seahawks, put something on Sam Darnold, because who wins this game is going to be determined on the quarterback performance because of the defenses. Like I mentioned earlier, I think the Rams defense could be passed on. And we've seen Matthew Stafford pass all over everybody. So it's your duty to look at those MVP markets.
It's funny you mentioned the MVP market. Kelly and I are here in Aruba. Kelly in Vegas and I here in Aruba. And we're sitting at this like nice steakhouse dinner. We started talking about the NFL MVP. We start looking at Drake May because we saw, oh my gosh, Drake May is the favorite right now to win MVP. His schedule is so easy that if he loses any game, if he loses both games to the Bills and the Ravens, then he's out. If he splits that, he might still be in it. But then if he loses Drake May, any of the easy games left on his schedule, how does he win MVP? But then the other flip side is his schedule is so freaking easy outside of the Bills and the Ravens. It's hard to believe he might not win MVP because of that strength of schedule. Whereas the Rams and the Seahawks, it's more impressive if they win. Either of those quarterbacks are going to have to win a tougher task. But at this point, do we care about records as much as like division and like strength of schedule? I feel like we have to put strength of schedule into the mix.
Yeah, but I think it's more so, Ariel, like narrative eye test with this award more than anything else. And It's how you go and craft and build that narrative over the course of the year kind of leads to whether or not you're going to go and get the MVP. And for a guy who's never won the award in Stafford, Seattle's defense is playing as well as anybody. He goes and carves them up for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. People are going to be like, you know what? Maybe it's time Matthew Stafford goes and wins an MVP. And that just momentum builds and builds and builds. Drake May keeps lighting it up. Maybe he has the narrative building in his favor.
The problem is the Rams and Seahawks have to play each other again in 16.
It's those big games. Like if you look at last year, for example, Josh Allen basically won the award when he had that rushing touchdown against Kansas City.
Yep.
Like that was the moment. So Matthew Stafford or Sam Darnold could have that moment this week. Now, obviously, it could be canceled out by Drake May going out there and having one of those moments against the Bills and the Ravens back to back. But that's unlikely to me. Like, I think one of them, he's going to lose one of those games. I don't know which one, but it would shock me if he got through the Bills and the Ravens unscathed. Whereas I think whoever wins this game between the Rams and the Seahawks, they could carry this through the rest of the season.
Well, we've got someone else in the race too, Kansas City and Denver, and Patrick Mahomes was also favored at one point recently to win this award at MVP. And now those Chiefs are laying 3.5 in Denver, 44.5 total. Raheem, this is another one for a division spot. Denver has a chance to slay the big, angry, mean dragon that everyone would love to see slayed. I like Denver in this spot. I think that the Broncos are a sleeper team in this area because the Chiefs, everyone rides high on them. The Chiefs, oh, it's Patrick Mahomes. Never fade Patrick Mahomes. Denver's been playing really well, and guess what? They're really good against the run. They have been top 5 against the run this year, so you're going to take that out of Kansas City's game anyway, which they're not great at that either. So guess what? Denver at home, time of possession, give it to Denver. Don't turn the ball over. Raheem, are you on my side taking points with the Broncos?
So you're fading Andy Reid off of a bye.
Yeah.
22-4 straight up off of a bye, and you're fading Andy Reid. Oh my God. I think this is a cheap spot, but I don't want to play it. I think this Broncos offense is they're just so awful. Obviously this could be their Super Bowl. I mean, you saw last year, they probably should have won that first Chiefs game. Things didn't go well for them, but I don't like the idea of fading a Chiefs team off of extended rest at all. Like, this is one I'm probably going to stay away from just because I think there's better bets on the board, but if I had to play it, it's Chiefs or pass.
Yeah, Ariel, I can't get on board with Denver. And I get the case you're trying to make. Division home dog. Denver's defense is stupendous. My counter would be, if you watch Bo Nix play football over the last 10 weeks, like, at the end of the day here, it's Patrick Mahomes off a bye. It's Andy Reid off a bye. And let's take into account, this is a game the Chiefs absolutely have to have. Like, this is not like a free game now for the Chiefs. They are 5-4. If they go and lose this game, they really are basically saying goodbye to the division. Now, I know what you're going to try to hint at here. Hey, why can't Kansas City go and win by 3? Therefore, you would get your Denver cover, and Kansas City would get the win that they need. Yeah, there's an avenue for that. But with the way Denver's offense has just completely stunk up the joint for most of these games in 3 quarters, and all of a sudden Bo Nix comes alive in the 4th, I just have a hard time imagining that being the script going up against the Chiefs, who are licking their wounds after what happened against the Bills. Now, I'm with Raheem. This is not one of my favorite plays of the week, but there's no way in the world I'm betting the Broncos. I'm just telling you right now. No shot.
To me, I think if you're saying the Chiefs lose this game, you almost owe it to yourself to bet the Chiefs to miss the postseason.
Well, bet Denver or the Chargers.
I already said that I like the Chiefs to not make the postseason because I didn't like them.
Oh, you said this?
In the division.
Yeah, this is news to me.
Preseason.
Preseason. Okay.
Okay. See, you weren't on the show with us. You gotta let our show know. I didn't know that you were like this high on the Chiefs to miss the postseason. Interesting. Okay.
I wasn't high on the Chiefs. I actually have the under on their win total this year.
Which is looking good, might I add.
Yeah,
because the only thing that I got wrong was that I like the Chargers more than the Broncos. But I did not like the Chiefs at all this season.
The Chargers,
Super Bowl runner-up. It's always a fade.
They're 7-3, Ariel. They're not dead. The Chargers for division.
I know they're not dead, but I'm saying that right now. I always like that the Chargers. I had the Chargers at +320 to win the division. And then I had the Chiefs under, what was it, 11 and a half wins?
11 and a half. Yeah, that was a number.
So I was low on the Chiefs all season, and we always say regress to the mean. And that's where I feel the Chiefs are going to have to get to at some point. It hasn't been a great season. I'm not high on the Chiefs at all. I always like to fade teams that can't run the football against a good run D. And that's exactly what the Denver Broncos are doing, is they're going to be able to stop the run, make this offense one-dimensional, which it kind of already is anyway. Home dog getting 3.5 at home and a chance to have a better shot at winning this division. Hell yeah. I like the Denver Broncos +3.5 this week. But there is one more game that I am very torn on, but I think the best way is to tease it if you could still get a 2.5. It's the Lions and the Eagles. So the Eagles are laying 2.5, but this one was -1.5. Sunday Night Football, 47.5 total, went to 46.5. JJ, which team are you higher on?
To me, and I'm a little worried about this game because it almost seems a little too good to be true. Detroit's defense is underwhelming. Jared Goff on the road in coldish weather against that Eagle defense would be incredibly concerning. Everything about my football instincts tell me Philadelphia is the spot in this game. Yet, the line's 2.5. What am I, and why am I missing this? Like, my guess on what this line would have been in, like, John Jastremski's imaginary world would have been like 4, 4.5, 3.5. Now, Raheem's going to have the market, the model, and all that good stuff. I know it's a short week for the Eagles. I know the Eagle offense has been grotesque, and the A.J. Brown questions are out there, and what's wrong. You know how it is in Philadelphia. Like, they're coming off the Super Bowl. They have, a record that's leading the NFC East at 7-2, and everyone's belly aching and bitching and moaning. Like, I wish I lived in that world where I could complain about my football team in that way. But I don't like Detroit in this spot at all. I just think the Eagle defense looked great. You had Jalen Phillips into the mix. That's another toy for Fangio. This Lion offensive line is not as good as it's been. Goff on the road. Don't trust the Lion defense. Raheem, this seems like an Eagle spot, but why is the line so low?
So, believe it or not, I actually have the Lions power rated ahead of the Eagles.
Really? I am surprised by that, to be honest.
Yeah, I have them power rated. I mean, when you look at the Eagles, look at their Pythagorean expectation and look at their point differential. If you look at the Eagles, their Pythagorean expectation, they're 7-2 with the Pythagorean expectation of a team that should have won 5.2 games. So they should be like 5.2 minus 3.8. Like, that's what they should be. Whereas you look at the Lions, their point differential is better. So naturally,
but they beat up a lot on a lot of bad teams, do they not?
That's true, but
like,
even with
I know Baltimore at Baltimore was a great win, and Baltimore was not 100% right at that time. I'll give them credit for that. That was a very impressive win.
But even
that, what is the win that for Detroit that has me salivating right now?
But here's the thing: the Lions have a point differential of +83. The Eagles have a point differential of +26.
Fair.
So yeah, the Eagles have played better competition, but I think it's still the NFL, and you still, you look at some of these games, they're sneaking out by the skin of their teeth. That said, I think the Eagles are a better team by far. And on Monday's show, before the Monday Night Football game, what did I do? I gave out the Eagles at -1.5. So now that line is up to 2.5 at FanDuel Sportsbooks, and there's even 3s outside, in other places. So that tells you what the market thinks. And I think you look at the fact that Jared Goff, he's going to be under a ton of pressure. I mean, when he's under pressure, his completion percentage drops by almost 17 points. His yards per attempt drops by 1.7. So you're looking at a very tough spot for this Lions offense. And the Eagles can stop the run. The Lions, they want to run the ball. So I think this is an Eagles spot. Obviously, I gave it to you guys at a better number on Monday because I knew that this number would move if they beat the Packers. And I also gave you guys the Packers against the Giants the other day, and that line didn't move at all. So if you want to get off of that game, you can get off of that game. But I think the Eagles, if you took that Eagles -1.5, like I gave you on Monday, you're sitting pretty right now.
I love teasing any 2.5, and so Lions at +2.5, get them up to a teaser spot at 8.5. Use them in a teaser leg. But for me as a prop, I'm gonna save my prop for the next segment, which is coming up on Queen's Corner. Any other games before we get to Ringer 107 later on? Anything else that stand out to you guys from these 3 games before we move on?
Oh, no, I think you nailed it as far as our leans and feels for these first 3. I want to save the good stuff that I might have
For
my
Ringer
betting board
107?
for Ringer
Oh, boy.
107. We call that a tease, Ariel, in the business.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so from this Lions and Eagles game, Jalen Hurts over 6.5 rush attempts is still around -130. He went over this in 14 of his last 15 home primetime games, 10 straight. Hurts is averaging 10 to 11 rush attempts per home primetime game. So 67% of quarterbacks to go over against Detroit because they have the 5th most rushing attempts allowed to quarterbacks this year. I would look to Jalen Hurts over 6.5 rush attempts. 2 quarterback props that you could look at. Bryce Young under 17.5 completions. I always say I like to take under completions because you've got to trust wide receivers, and I don't trust the Panther wide receivers against teams top 10 against the pass. Young's averaging just about 16 completions a game. He went under 20.5 completions in game 1 of this series this year. He's gone under in 4 of his last 6 divisional road games. Every quarterback has gone under their completion prop against Atlanta this year. So we're going to go Bryce Young under his 17.5 completions. And Trevor Lawrence under his completions prop or passing yard prop, because Trevor Lawrence against top 10 pass Ds, he's averaging 15 completions and 189 passing yards dating back to the start of last year when facing a top 10 pass D. And that's what he's getting in the Chargers, who have allowed the 5th least completions and 5th least passing yards per game to their quarterbacks. 70% of quarterbacks went under their completion and passing yards prop against the Chargers this year. So under completions for Trevor Lawrence, under completions for Bryce Young, over rush attempts for Jalen Hurts. 3 quarterback props that you guys could look at for this weekend ahead.
For what it's worth, I like all of them, especially the unders on Trevor Lawrence and Bryce Young. Like, where do I sign?
Yeah, I like that Trevor Lawrence under. I think that's going to be a defensive game, but I do have some thoughts about that game.
Oh boy, we'll probably get to
Raheem,
those in Ringer 107.
I like that. Good.
We're going to take a break for the podcast audience. We'll be right back to talk our 5 picks against the spread for this upcoming week in Ringer 107. To everybody watching on YouTube, subscribe and like here at The Ringer. It's The Ringer Gambling Show, sponsored by FanDuel. We really appreciate it. Welcome back to our podcast audience here on The Ringer Gambling Show, sponsored by FanDuel. Guess what else is sponsored by FanDuel, guys? Ringer 107. It is a pick'em contest all football season long between us, shout out Bodega Locks, Sal and DeBundo, Fantasy Guys, Bill Simmons, House and Chill. It is week 11, so we've got 5 picks that we have to make against the spread. For anyone who hasn't watched before, the way we do it here at Bodega Locks, all 3 of us pick one side that we have to give out for our Bodega Locks. Then the 3 of us have to decide the final 2 picks. We have to somewhat agree.
Now,
We don't do international games.
I have 2 thoughts before we begin.
No international games, thought number 1.
Of course, I'm going to be at the Dopey game, so blame my wife for that. But that's a story for a different day. That's not what I want to bring up. We got our ass whooped the last week.
Yeah.
This is where I have to pull out my inner Newt Rockney. We got to get our heads out of our asses. We got to focus. We got to lock in. And we got to deliver. Okay? So I want the very best out of you, Raheem Palmer. I want the very best out of you, Ariel Epstein.
This is the hard week to ask.
And this guy better get his ass out of it. Better get it going. Enough. All
right, so then you start. You start, JJ. You tell us who our Ringer 107 pick number 1 is.
But I have one more thought before we do that.
Oh, boy.
We have talked you out of, and I've gotten some flack for this on Twitter. So I appreciate you guys holding me and holding Raheem accountable for this. It's fine. That's what we're in. Results-oriented business. Ariel, you've given us winners the last 2 weeks, and we maybe have tried to talk you out of it. So whatever pick you give us now, we're rolling with it, whether we like it or not.
You know, it's so crazy. We both talked ourselves out of wins last week because
we did.
She liked the Saints. I like the Texans, and we didn't go with none of them.
Shame on us. Shame on us. I agree. Shame on us. Now, you want me to begin?
Yep.
Because I need to fire up the damn troops, Ariel? Let's begin.
You better give us a winner.
The Chicago Bears are taking on the Minnesota Vikings. The Chicago Bears have been playing with fire over the last few weeks. They won a game they had absolutely no business winning a week ago against the New York Football Giants. I am not sold that Caleb Williams all of a sudden has figured it out. Now you are giving me Chicago on the road against the Brian Flores defense. I know J.J. McCarthy's a rookie quarterback, but if you're going to ask me what is going to be the difference in this game, it's the Viking defense, which is much healthier, that is super well coached, going up against Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, and the Bears due for a letdown spot. I know the Vikings lost to your Ravens last week. I thought they did some decent things in that game. They hung in that game in what was a very difficult spot for them. McCarthy gaining a little bit of confidence here. I'm riding with JJ. I'm riding with Flores. I'm riding with KOC. Vikings in a game they have to have. Laying the 3 against the Bears. That's my pick.
Raheem?
I'm gonna let you go first.
Why?
Because we've been talking you out of winners, so you go ahead.
You're not gonna like this because you already don't like the game that I like the most this week.
Sorry, Ariel. Do I get a blessing on the Vikings?
Yes.
Oh, I do. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's on the record anyway, so F it.
I know. That's why I'm not going to fight you on it because I don't want to. We have to save time in the show for when we disagree and are allowed to disagree. You guys aren't going to like that I'm going to tell you I love Denver this week at plus 3.5.
Fine.
We're past the key number of 3 in a must-win divisional game. Denver is at home. They looked bad last week, but they played their 3rd game in 11 days. They had to play a Vegas team that was bad for their 3rd game in 11 days on the road. So now you're getting the Chiefs. It was always about having to face the Chiefs this week. Denver 8-2 at home in divisional games. Kansas City's not good at running the football. Denver's very good against the run. Make them one-dimensional. Make him make plays. Denver's defense, I'm taking the better defense at plus 3.5 at home as a dog, needing this for a divisional game. I like it here. Plus 3.5, Broncos, baby.
And you get the key number. And by the way, I have to correct the line. I have 2.5 with the Vikings, not 3. Significant. I'm getting 2.5. You're getting 3.5. So we're getting some key numbers here. We like that. Ariel, listen, I wouldn't make the pick, but it's your pick. It's your time to shine. And the boys are going to defer to the prop queen. You cook. Okay, Queen?
Thanks, JJ. I appreciate it, and I'm sorry, and I promise if we lose, I feel like we have to do a little something next week. We come up with this off air. If we lose one of our 3 plays, then we should face a corner or something and punish ourselves.
Face a corner? Oh my God.
We're just gonna stand in a corner and be embarrassed.
What are we on punishment?
We're punishing people.
At this point, you have to be punished like George Steinbrenner style if you mess things up for the team. So Raheem, what is yours?
So some of my favorite picks this week is just it has injury related stuff around it, and I think that's where I'm struggling right here. That's why I asked you to go first because it's 2 that I like. So I like Buffalo. I think it's a good buy low spot for them. Coming off of the Miami loss, and I also like Arizona. I think Arizona.
I like Arizona this week.
I think San Francisco's
Raheem,
defense.
This is your baby. I want conviction, Raheem.
I know you want conviction, but the biggest thing is that I think when it comes to these 2 picks, I'm trying to figure out the status of Arizona's cornerbacks. Last week, Arizona.
Oh, that burned us last week, man.
It burned you.
We're a team. So it was a team pick. And we
I forgot you took that. I forgot you took it in the 107.
That was an embarrassing one for sure. But which is why it's very fishy that this number is so short.
The biggest thing is if Max Melton is playing, I think Arizona can cover this game.
I think they can win the game for what it's
worth. I think they can win this game. No, I'm not going to take Arizona here. Just because I need that injury information. I think
so. It seems like Buffalo is your play. Which, by the way, I'm on board with. I think it's a great spot to take the Bills.
I actually like the Jaguars.
I do too.
Give me the Jaguars as my play.
Let's go. And is there any fear factor, Raheem, of Trevor Lawrence because of how poorly he's played? Because that to me is the only. I agree with you. I think the line screams Jacksonville. They need the game. the Chargers coming off a big win, got to fly cross country, but Minter's defense against Lawrence scares me a little bit. That's my only cause for concern.
It is very scary, but I think this line doesn't make any sense. And I'm saying this from the perspective that the Chiefs were laying 3 on the road against the Jaguars. I think we all could agree that Chiefs team is better than the Chargers team now without Joe Alt. Last week you saw the first half, like they couldn't block the Steelers. I think that Steelers loss had more to do with the Steelers offense.
Correct.
And I think at home, catching 3 as an underdog, I think this is a good spot for Jaguars. So give me that. I think that's I prefer that over Buffalo because I still think Buffalo has some injury information with Dalton Kincaid. I think it's so funny. You look at this year. I don't know if you guys noticed, but when teams have been missing their star tight end, look at the Raiders with Brock Bowers. Look at the Packers with Tucker Kraft. There's another team in there. I can't even think about it. But these teams missing their star tight end, they have not been the same. So I don't want to go near Buffalo if Dalton Kincaid's not playing. So give me the Jaguars. I just don't think the Chargers can block. I think the offensive line is still a mess. And, Michael Lombardi always has this phrase, bad offensive lines don't travel. Well, they're traveling this week. So give me the Jaguars +3.
All right. We
Okay,
need
so
2 more, gang.
2 more. So we've got Vikings, Broncos, Jags. I'm going to throw out there an interesting I had a few interesting stats, but I'm going to start with this game. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. I know we keep taking points with Pittsburgh. I know we keep taking, last back-to-back weeks we've taken points with Pittsburgh.
Every week, yeah.
And 5.5 feels like a lot, especially for just being upset by the Bengals and Joe Flacco a few weeks ago. So now you're at home laying this ugly number of 5.5. The book is telling us it's a divisional rematch. You just lost the first game. You typically don't lose again the next game. Nonetheless, when you're at home, Joe Flacco gets worse and worse as time goes on when he's with the team. I don't mean throughout the season, but we know Flacco's with a new team like every few weeks. And he always starts out strong, covering spreads, upsetting teams for the first 2-3 times. And then it starts to go downhill. And I think the Steelers with their head coach Mike Tomlin are going to be good enough to make the adjustments to Flacco and the Bengals that Pittsburgh could win this game and they could cover 5.5 at home.
I don't want to go near this one. I'm worried about the Steelers.
I knew you were worried.
I'm worried about the Steelers.
I love how JJ started off the Ringer 107 session by saying, we're not going to talk Ariel down. We just going to let her cook.
No.
I'm kidding.
I'm playing.
We're now in the discussion portion of
I'm playing.
our proceedings. For Ariel's pick, I was going to let Ariel shine no matter what. Yeah. But now we're debating.
Yeah, we're debating. I'm messing with you.
But I love you. That's what we do around here. Look, I'm not taking the Bengals, but I wonder with the news that Joe Burrow could come back over the next few weeks if there's a little extra pep in his step for the guys saying, hey, let's try to keep our season alive because Mr. Aloe Boy is going to be back in a few weeks. I don't know. Like, the Steelers
Throw one in the hat. Throw it in the hat. What do you got?
All right, so you want one that I like?
Yeah.
Okay. Los Angeles Rams laying 3. Raheem doesn't like it. Okay. Moving on. Philadelphia Eagles laying 2.5.
I think the Eagles are the better team. I really do. I think that division, I think that NFC North isn't very good.
So are we going to lay 2.5 with the Eagles? The line did move. It steams on the Eagles 1.5 to 2.5.
Maybe. Can I interest you guys in Atlanta laying 3.5 against Carolina?
I don't like the spot for Atlanta.
Because they're coming back from London? Or
I actually like Carolina. I think Carolina is live.
Dude, those teams stink. Let's
they're
stay off that game. That's just trouble for everybody.
I do have a fun stat thanks to Kelly in Vegas, which is why it's so fun that we're on vacation all week together so that we can keep finding these fun stats for each other.
Yeah.
So what was this? The gold sheet? The gold sheet. Mm-hmm. This is where Kelly got this information from. So when you look at the last few teams this year that decided to not take a bye after being international. The Browns, the Jets, the Broncos. The Browns scored 9 points. The game stayed under the total by a touchdown. The Jets scored 6. Game stayed under by 21 points. The Broncos, that was the game they were held scoreless the first 3 quarters until craziness happened against the Giants. So these teams who don't decide to take a bye following international games come out really tired. They are low scoring. So if you do like the Panthers, it makes sense. But for me, like I'll probably go with the Atlanta team total under, or some kind of under in that some capacity. But I did feel that that stat was so notable for anybody who's looking at that game.
Okay. All right. Here's
All right,
one.
I got to be honest with you. I really like Buffalo.
I do too. That's why
I
I was
think-
surprised you're talking me out of it.
Here's my thing. Here's my case for Buffalo. I don't think Baker Mayfield is healthy at all.
Well, that team is clearly not healthy. Number
And,
one.
like, I don't think that they've been the same offense. Like, I'm gonna pull up the EPA numbers. It's very fascinating. Since
Well, and
weeks,
not only that, while you do that, Raheem, Buffalo at home, for the most part, has been a wagon. They're
Yeah.
a different team when they play at home. I mean, they beat the Chiefs. You know, like they beat the like. This is where you get them. You telling me Buffalo is going to lose back-to-back games? I don't see it.
since week 7, Tampa Bay is 28th in EPA per play and 29th in offensive success rate, and that coincided with their loss against the Detroit Lions. Since then, their offense has not been the same. And I know they went out there and they scored 23 against the Saints. And obviously you get a backdoor touchdown against the Patriots, but that offense has not looked right. They have not looked healthy. And I think earlier on in the year, we just saw Baker Mayfield pull a rabbit out of the hat, but I just don't know if he can continue to do that trick again and again. So I actually think that the Buccaneers can lose the next 2 games. They got the they're on the road to the Bills and on the road to the Rams. I think I'm just going to fade them the next 2 weeks and hope I get out of this 2-0.
Well, listen, I'm down with that. Here, let's rank any. Pittsburgh's in a hopper. Philly's in a hopper. I'm throwing the Rams out there. Bills are out there. Any other games, Ariel, you want to throw at us?
I know Raheem said that he didn't want to bet this game, but that Arizona line is real fishy to me. Only catching 3 against San Francisco. I know that I lost on Arizona last week and it was really embarrassing, but with that embarrassing 20-point loss to Seattle, and then this week you're only catching 3 against San Francisco. Like I know you're at home, but come on. I know every week I say San Francisco's due to regress, due to regress, due to regress. This number is so fishy, guys, and we know the public.
I agree. Like my model has this at a pick'em.
Let's take
I actually think maybe the Cardinals should be favored because I just don't like that 49ers defense. The only problem, like, it's not that I didn't want to bet it, is that because we're doing this on Thursday, I was concerned about the injury news. Like I wanted to make sure they got, because if Arizona gets their corners back, I think they win this game outright.
I want to take the Cardinals.
I'm down with it. I'm down with
Cardinals.
We need one more.
We've got 4: Vikings, Broncos, Jags, Cards. We need one more. You guys like Buffalo a lot this week at -5.5. I am torn. We were talking about the no tight ends, right? How teams struggle with no tight end, their star tight ends out, and now Dalton Kincaid's out. You still like Buffalo?
The thing is, he's not. They haven't totally announced him out yet, so it's like you're still waiting for the injury news.
It looks like he's not going to play. It looks like
I think the bigger issue for me is that Baker Mayfield has that oblique injury. And, like I said, since week 7, this is not the same offense. You're talking about an offense is 29th in success rate and 28th in EPA per play. And they can't even really run the ball right now because you're talking about Bucky Irvin being out. He's 21st. They're 21st in rushing success rate since week 7 and 22nd in rushing EPA per play. So to me, this is like kind of like a buy low spot. You're getting Buffalo under a key number. It's like if this was 6 or 7, you're kind of in a spot to where it's like, all right.
You guys have given me essentially 2 plays this time. I will give you Buffalo if you would like Buffalo more than any of the other options.
Well, no. The Rams are on the board. The Eagles are on the board. The Steelers are on the board. You really like Pittsburgh, don't you?
I wouldn't say I really like Pittsburgh, but I do like them more than I like the Bills.
Okay, what about Philly?
I said I like Philly too. It'll be a nice middle for me because I'm going to go tease the Lions.
I can get on board with Philly. The
Let's
one
do
team I
Philly
can't get on board with is the Rams, just because I think
That's
that
fine.
game,
That's
yeah,
fine. That's
like
So
fine.
let's
the
play. Are
rest
we
of the
laying two
options
and a
I can
half
get
then
on
with
board with. I
Philly?
think
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm not gonna say fly Eagles fly as a Cowboys
You
fan.
can't. You can't. do
I'm
that.
never like I can bet on the Eagles, but I'm
Mr.
not
Giant
saying
just did
fly
it.
Eagles fly.
I'm a Dolphins fan, Ariel. Come on now. Come on.
Hey, we have to play a role sometimes because you're Mr. New York, New York. You don't have a Mr. Miami podcast.
I that is true. That is true. I'll save that. I'll save that for Mike McDaniel.
Fine. So I'm gonna tease the Lions, and then we're gonna lay -2.5 with the Eagles, and then I'm gonna just hopefully be happy in every which way. So we've got Vikings, Broncos, Jags, Cardinals, and Eagles for our Bodega Locks. Ringer
That is such a
107.
balanced card.
Great. Hopefully we at least could go 3-2 this week because we have to start.
It's so
climbing
crazy.
back.
We went 1-4 and we're still in second place last week. So everybody
Because
else
we
sucks.
we were
4-1
so
and
hot
we're
to start
back.
the year.
I want a 4-1 this week. Let's
So
go.
everybody else sucks.
Yeah.
With
We're
all
very
disrespect. With
We're
all
very
disrespect.
Very talented. And the team in first had a 5-0 week, and that's why they ended up getting ahead. Whatever. We're gonna climb back and we're gonna win this thing in the long run. I don't know what we win, but we'll win pride. Today's Ringer 107 is brought to you by FanDuel. Odds are subject to change. It is best bet time. We've got NBA coming up. We've got the NFL, hockey, but I know Raheem, he loves his NBA. So what you got for us in the association?
In the association, it's a very, very ugly, ugly card in the association tonight. We're gonna go with a total. I mean, I've been basically playing these totals. Let's go with the Utah Jazz, Atlanta Hawks under 232.5. If you look at both of these teams, this is not an ideal rest spot for either one. Atlanta's been traveling pretty heavily, 3-4 plus a back-to-back. You look at the Utah Jazz, 3-4 nights. I think this total should probably be like around 230. So it's a small edge. It's not a gigantic edge. That's one I would go with. There's another one, but I'm not going to give that one out at all. Just still waiting on injury news. I was looking at the Toronto Raptors, Cleveland Cavaliers, over 238.5. But you still got to wait on the injury news for that because right now you look at Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland. I don't know if they're playing or not. They may play, they may not. But let's just go with that first one. And if you guys want to play the lean, that's on you, but it's not an official play. But Hawks Jazz under 232.5, and then a lean towards Raptors Cavs over, what is that, 238.5. But it's like you got to look at the injury news on that one because I don't know if Darius Garland, I don't know if Donovan Mitchell is playing. I don't know if Evan Mobley is playing. It's these late injury news stuff in the NBA is a disaster.
Yeah, it's really frustrating every time that you want to bet the NBA. The NFL, hey, we've had a lot of injuries to have to worry about too that we have to wait for until last minute. But Raheem, anything in the NFL that you would deem a best bet?
I guess you could say the New England Patriots, a minus 11.5. Me and you also agree on that Drake May Russian props. I like both of those that we gave out earlier in the show. I think it was Drake May over, what is it, 20 plus rushing yards, and then over 5.5 rushing attempts. So I like both of those.
JJ, best bet time.
Yeah, New England will lay the lumber. I hate doing this, but I think it's going to be an absolute bloodbath against the Jets. 12.5 on the FanDuel Sportsbook site. I think they win by 2 touchdowns. And we hit on it in Ringer 107. Vikings, a must for them. At home against the Chicago Bears. I think we're getting some regression from Caleb Williams. Give me that Viking defense. At home, laying 2.5 to take care of business.
My 2 props going into the weekend that are best bets. Jalen Hurts over 6.5 rush attempts. He went over this in 14 of 15 home primetime games. Detroit, 5th most rush attempts allowed to quarterbacks per game. And then the guys also agreed with me when I said the Trevor Lawrence under his passing completions against the Chargers. So Lawrence is averaging just under 16 completions a game when facing a top 10 pass D. and he's getting a Chargers team that's allowed the 5th least completions per game. So under 19.5 completions for Trevor Lawrence going up against those Los Angeles Chargers. For everyone here at the Ringer Gambling Show, I'm the prop queen Ariel Epstein, Raheem Palmer, John Jastremski. This show is brought to you by FanDuel, and tomorrow on the next Ringer Gambling Show, it'll be with Cousin Sal, Danny Heifetz, and Anthony DeBundo. So remember, all odds subject to change, but here for the Ringer Gambling Show, we are hoping that Ringer 107's Bodega Locks has a better week than we did last week. And we are still in second place, so definitely the right show to watch. Good luck with all your bets this weekend. We'll see you next Thursday.
Must be 21 or older and present in select states, or 18 or older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. You must be 21 or older and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 or older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG, 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 877-8-HOPE-NEW YORK or text HOPE New York in New York.